Hi everybody, my name is Andrea and I am a recovered alcoholic. My sobriety date is August 16, 2016. And I am very grateful to be here. I would like to thank you all for the service and for this fantastic meeting. And thank you, Mike, for the introduction. I love you too, my friend. Thank you for being awake. It's 3:30 in the morning here, but it's really fantastic to be here connected to you guys. I love this meeting. It's full of energy and it's full of recovery and sobriety and hope. And I want to say, I just want to say to Melissa, Tessa, Eric, and Jess, who are the newcomers, that this is the good place to be if you want to have a life that it's beyond your wildest dream, because that's what happened to me. And I really hope I can give you something tonight, and that's the only reason I am here. I'm not here to take something from this group. I hope I'm here to give something, and the only thing I can give to you guys is my experience. At the beginning of my sobriety, I thought that the process of recovery had to do with me becoming a better person, and so being able to be something or somebody you could look up to. Now I know that the only thing I can share with you are my weaknesses, and the way I live with them, I accept them today, and I have a beautiful life being who I am and accepting my defects, and that's it. I wanted to give you a very quick background of my story. I started drinking when during my teenage, and I thought I drank like other guys because everybody was doing that at the time. So especially during weekend, once in a while, also during weekdays, and after particularly hard hangover, I would say to myself that I was not going to drink anymore. And then the next weekend I was exactly the same point. But as I said, I think that was just heavy drinking. Everybody was doing that. The difference between me and most of my friends was that in university, and then after university, everybody else got on with their life, and they got married, they got a job, and I think they went on drinking socially, and that was not the case for me. Alcohol became very slowly an important part of my life, especially when I started working. I work in a kitchen. I am a chef, and that's a place where everybody drinks a lot. So let's say that first of all, my alcoholism has a symptom that is denial, that tells me that I'm not that I don't have that illness. So this is the first reason why I didn't realize I was an alcoholic. But let's also say that I was working in an environment where it's kind of difficult to see the difference between you and everybody else, because everybody was drinking very much. Anyway, I want to cut the story short because I don't think that's the most important part of my story. At 39, I somehow realized that I couldn't drink, and after trying to quit by myself, I only tried once, and it lasted 3 weeks. Yes, and after those 3 weeks, I had a long spree that lasted 2 months. I drank every single I was always drinking for 2 months, and so after that spree, I realized that not only I could not drink, but also I could not drink, and so I asked for help. I already knew that there was a fellowship named Alcoholics Anonymous because my younger brother was in it. And so I reached out for help. I went to my first AA meeting, and I hadn't have a drink since then. It was the 14th of August 2014, so 8 years ago. I said before that my sobriety date is only 2.5 years later, because I wasn't really into smoking joints, but I had smoked some joints between my sobriety date and August 2016. And I had never realized that was not sobriety until my last fifth step with my current sponsor, who pointed out to me that I had to update my sobriety date. My previous sponsor never mentioned that, or probably, considering that I am dishonest, I had never mentioned to him that I had smoked a joint, so who knows. Anyway, my new sobriety date is the real one, because if I look back at my first 2.5 years in sobriety again, I wasn't sober at all. My behavior was still exactly the same as it was before quitting drinking, and as a consequence of that, also my disease, not the disease, my being not at ease with life was exactly the same. And I suffer also from an external issue. I am bipolar, and I had no idea of that until 2 years ago when I was diagnosed. And that was also another complication for me, because I had tried to treat my bipolar condition with alcohol, and that was a mess. And anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about with you tonight, guys, is a topic that is not easy for me to talk. And I think it is at the root of my addiction to alcohol. And it is my emotions, the way the way I feel emotion, the way I recognize them, the way I'm able to share emotion today, is something that I had no idea would have been possible just a few months ago. And I have to really thank my sponsor, my current sponsor, for this, because he forced me, he pushed me to get in touch with my emotion. And I didn't really know what that meant. I mean, you always see in movie people crying, or especially men, they have to be strong, and then they have something happens and they cry. And I thought that was what he meant, and I really didn't like that. I can trace back my incapacity to deal with emotion probably to my childhood. My father, I am the first born in a family of three sons. I am the big brother, and my father was very young when I was born, so we grew up together, and I did everything with him, sports, and we built a house together. And he was always telling me that I was the brightest kid, the smartest kid, and the strongest kid. So I grew up thinking that my mind was my brain, my mind, my intelligence were my assets, my strengths, and they would get me where I wanted to go. And what I didn't know was that where I wanted to go was being loved, and my intelligence would not take me there. So, and also I misunderstood the meaning of the word love, so it was a bit of a mess. But anyway, I really didn't do well with emotions. They hit me very hard. And again, my mother is a very emotional woman, and she wore emotion on her sleeves. And I didn't like her. I mean, I like my mother, but I didn't like the way she expressed her emotions so easily. And I really preferred my dad's way. And so I grew up with this idea that a man don't cry, okay? And so since I am a human being, my opinion on emotions hadn't really got any effect on emotion themselves. They kept coming and be, but I shut up towards them, and I realized very quickly that alcohol was doing that job for me. I mean, was the shield that I could use against emotion. I mean, not that I did this consciously, but somehow it must have worked on a subconscious level. Whenever I drank, I didn't feel those bad emotion or strong emotion I could not deal, and so my mind registered that solution: strong emotion, alcohol, solution. Okay, and it was love at first sight with alcohol. As I said, alcohol became a very important part of my life, and I went on drinking until I was 39. And alcohol was really a solution in a way, because it gave me the strength to, for example, fear is one of the emotions that I, sorry for the fear is one of the emotion I fear most. And alcohol gave me the strength to go beyond many of my fears, and gave me the courage to set up my own company, gave me the strength to work very long hours, and to talk with clients, to negotiate. And I didn't realize that I was using alcohol to do those things. I only thought that alcohol was part of my fun. And if I look back now, I really see that I used alcohol to party, but not that much. I mostly used alcohol to do things that people normally do without drinking. So going to work, dealing with difficult situations, talking to a client, as I said, dealing with my associates, and stuff like that. So alcohol was my solution, and it was like that until it stopped being like that. I got into depression at the end of my alcoholic, yes, at the end of my, in 12, at the beginning of 12 of 2014. And I was drinking to get out of this depression, and it didn't work anymore. Alcohol was not working anymore. And that's when I realized that it was not a solution, it was becoming a problem, and I didn't want to drink anymore, but I couldn't do it by myself, and I asked for help. For the first 2 years in Alcoholics Anonymous, I just sat in meetings and did what other people was doing, or what I thought other people were doing. My meeting was a discussion meeting. Everybody was going there and just talk about their day, complaining about stuff. And since I was not drinking and I felt the magic of the room, I thought that that was it. But at the same time, something was wrong, because I was feeling my emotions coming, and I didn't have my solution, because I could not drink and I didn't want to drink. And so these emotions were eating me very hard. But the problem was that I didn't recognize those emotions, because I hadn't been in touch with them since I was, let's say, 16 or 17. So I just felt this sense of disease, but I could not name it. And I just didn't like it. And also I had my bipolar problem. So it was up and down, manic, depressive. And it was really a mess. I was all over the place. I I had the good luck to listen to Joe and Charlie's tape one day, and I remember I was so attracted by the message of the big book, that I went on listening to them like for months, and I said to myself, okay, Andrea, this is what I want, this is what I need. And then I got an audio recording of a speaker from a seminar in Cannes, France. And this guy was he's not that. He's from Dallas, Texas. And I wrote a letter to that group asking for the number of this guy. And I called him and I asked him to be my sponsor. And he took me through the steps in a real big book tamper way. And that's where my life began to change. And after 1 year of doing the program with him, he suggested that I found a sponsor here in Italy, because I needed to have a FaceTime with my sponsor. And we prayed together for that. And the day after we decided that, my current sponsor showed up. The guy I'm working with also was born in Texas, and he did this program in in Seattle and then in California. And he's also a big book thumper. And when I have a problem with people, I want to read just a little passage from the big book, because this is something I can relate very much these days. It's on page 468. For example, yesterday I had a little discussion with an old timer in a group in another part of my country, and I was angry, and so my sponsor had me read this passage from the big book, and he told me to read it every day for 3 weeks. So I wanted to share this with you. It's on page, again, 468. It's from the story Listening to the Wind, and it says, I was allowing others to control my sense of well-being and behavior. I came to understand that the behavior, opinions, and thoughts of others were none of my business. The only business I was to be concerned with was my own. I asked my higher power to remove from me everything that stood in the way of my usefulness to him and others, and to help me build a new life. So what's this has to go with emotions? My sponsor taught me that when I communicate with other people, I have to be true to my own self. That's what we read on the backside of our sobriety medallions. And this is another sentence I had never fully understood, actually. Now I know that being true to myself means that I have to be I have to let my emotions arrive and recognize them, give them a name, and then being able to share them, even if they are uncomfortable for me. For example, I realized that there is nothing wrong in being afraid. And if you go to somebody and you say, I am afraid, it's very likely that this person can relate to you, because we are afraid. That's part of the nature of the human being. And I want to share a thing that happened to me last week. I met a girl. We are dating, and I was a little bit nervous because I've been by myself for quite a while now. So I was worried, and worry is a form of fear again. And so I asked my sponsor, how can I? What shall I tell this woman about my disease, my recovery, my mental illness? And he said, just be in the moment. If she asks direct questions, answer the questions. Don't drop on her the whole load, because truth sometimes can be hard to swallow. And just be in the moment, and God will show you when and how much to share with her. And yesterday we were, it was a beautiful sunny day, and we went on the hills here where I live for a hike, and we were sitting in this beautiful place, and God told me that was the right moment to open up, and I shared with her my story, exactly how the same way I'm doing with you now tonight. And when I finished, I could not, while I was speaking, I could not look her into her eyes, because I was so scared that she would judge me or thought I was non-normal, or she just maybe said or respond, okay, thank you for sharing, but this is not good for me. I want a normal person. And instead, when I finished my story, I looked at her, and she was almost crying, and she said, what a relief. And she told me her story. She's not an alcoholic. She's a human being. She has her issues, and she was scared to death that I was too perfect for her to be able to share her story with me. And so she said, I'm very, very happy that we can share this kind of experience. And I'm very happy that you are doing whatever you're doing. And I'm impressed of the fact that you are not satisfied of where you are, and you always want to grow. And so this is it. The most important thing for me today is to remember this. I am okay. I'm not perfect. I am a human being, and God wants me this way. So I, of course, have to work my program, but I think the essence of step 6 and 7 is not to think that I can work on myself to become something different. I just have to come to accept myself and in the end, love myself. And when I can do that, I really experience a sensation that is unbelievably wonderful. And I can close this sharing with a sentence that I stolen from my sponsor. And I'm saying this really honestly, and it's the truth. Today, my life is so wonderful, there should be background music. Thank you, everybody.